May I now request Dr. Peshu Basurya, Head of Nursing Services, to introduce our guest of honor, Ms.Sai Bala M., Nursing Director, Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi, Kerala, to the august audience.
It's my proud privilege to introduce our guest of honor, Ms.Sai Bala, Nursing Director, Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi. The quality of a leader is reflected in the standards they set for themselves. Such a passionate leader is Ms.Sai Bala, who strategically approaches the profession with a balanced task and person-oriented perspective. Upholding the global views, she creates a new meaning for nursing, with a focus to enhance positive image of profession. Her educational background: BSc Nursing from Government College of Nursing, Trivandrum, MSc in Psychiatric Nursing, Diploma in Hospital Management from National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, New Delhi, 6 Sigma Green Belt certification. She has been a resource person in various national and international conferences. She has published in journals as a primary author and co-author. And her achievements are many. I have a big list still. She is one of the 2 Indian speakers in the annual conference of Association for Vascular Access held in Phoenix. She represented India in the PCICS International Meet, Miami. She's been honored for the contribution to training and mentoring the endoscopic technicians by Society of Endoscopy Technicians. She is also a regional winner from 3M National Nursing Quiz Championship. And she's been associated with TNAA, Infusion Nurses Society, Indian Society of Psychiatric Nurses Association, Critical Care Nurses Society, Association of Nurse Executives of India, and so on. And she is the first Indian nurse to get the scholarship to attend the National Congress in 2011. The list is long, long, and very long. So let us give a big round of applause to our nursing lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. We have amongst us the most dynamic personality, our guest of honor, Ms.Sai Bala M., Nursing Director, Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi, Kerala. I kindly request you, ma'am, to address the august gathering.
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank for giving me an opportunity to visit Manipal. This is my second visit to this institution. First time I came as a participant for a nursing research workshop, and I never expected to come as a guest here. Thank you for having me. Respected Mrs. Vasanthi Madam, and all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and all my dear friends of nursing family. Is there anybody other than nurses here? I see a few people in the front, so they're all probably not nurses. So I will keep my address into 3 different parts, okay? For all those who are not nurses, who are physicians, non-physicians, for all nurses who have been here for many, many years, and for all the new nurses who have been part of this program. That way I think I will have done some justice to what I've been called for. For all the new ones, I begin with them. Nursing is been changing. I remember the first time, I will tell you my experience as nursing is much lesser than many of you here. I've been only 25 years in this profession, and at least 20 times I've decided not to work in nursing. And I've come back again and again. And 20 years of my research was understanding the meaning of this profession. And it has brought me to a point where I joined nursing without knowing what it was. A little bit of background about me, because that is important. I joined Amrita institutions long before I did my nursing. I joined Amma when I was 15 years old. Why I did was I wanted to change the society. That was my dream. You should not ask me why. I don't have time to explain now. Definitely, I'm there one more day. If anybody is interested, we can talk about it. But changing the society was something that I wanted to do. Why? I don't know. But I know it was what I wanted. And when I met her, I decided this is the place where I should go. And that's it. I actually wanted to do medicine when I was, and probably would have been a student of Kasturba Medical College at one point of time, because my parents thought about putting me here, that this was one of the colleges those times. And I decided not to, because I wanted to be with Amma. And then my destiny was to nursing. She insisted that I should write my medical entrance, and then I got into BSc Nursing in Government College of Nursing. And reluctantly went there because I didn't want to leave the ashram and go to a place and study, because studies were secondary at that point of time. From then on, in the next 29 years, 4 years of my studies, 1 year of vacation from any job, and 25 years of my work in Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, right from the inception of that place to becoming Director of Nursing in the year 2012. Few things that I've realized about nursing is that this is the most profound curriculum in any of the healthcare professionals, because I was put in any job and I knew what to do. Because nursing taught us every single aspect of healthcare. I didn't have to stand apart and say, okay, this job I don't know. I knew something about it. All I had to do was learn a little bit of nitty-gritties into it. I set up the departments, many OPDs. I worked in GI as a GI nurse. Set up the whole GI department. Worked in pharmacy. Worked in material stores. Worked with the hospital information system development, implementation. I worked with NABH, NABL, NAC, ISO. My quality journey has been right from 2003. I developed the in-service education department. Way back in 2003, we started the first continuing education department. And I've been doing skilled education for the last 20 years for a different category of employees. My journey was profound, but every time I thought myself about being a nurse, a lot of times I had always wondered why I'm here, because many of the things that I found was not acceptable to me as a nurse. The way the profession is. And every time I was taught by the person who mentored me to look things from a different perspective, to understand the depth of this profession. The very nature of this profession is flexibility, adaptability, and the essence is also being disciplined. It's very hard to be disciplined and flexible. If you're very disciplined, you will go in one line. If you're too flexible, it's very hard to be disciplined and go in one line. But when we have to deal with about 1,000, 2,000 nurses in an institution, you have to have processes, you have to have systems. Without that, you cannot work. And when you establish this in a healthcare system where administration was thought out to be coming on its own, HR in healthcare, medical administration in healthcare came into existence last few years. Before that, it was run as it is run. And people thought that hospitals would just run. I'm not talking about hospitals like this. This is a huge organization. It has grown over time, and processes would be required in such a huge organization to make it run the way it is today. But I'm talking about what was in Kerala when I started working. And the fact is that people did not know the difference between registered nurses and non-registered nurses. Private hospitals in India, in Kerala, were mostly missionary, and it's all charitable organization. There was no concept of corporate. There was no concept of quality or processes. I learned the first steps of quality from ISO certification when I started working in 2003. So what I wanted to say is, I learned we could make a difference. From the time where the doctors did not know the difference between a qualified nurse and an unqualified person, we have reached, in 25 years, we have reached a place where physicians ask me, do I have an MSc nurse who can work with me? I want to do research on this particular I don't have people to give for the demands they have. I have created the demand. We have rather, not me. All the people who worked with me over so many years have created that professionalism. And I want all of you to believe that whatever you see today was not what was nursing before. And whatever you're going to see tomorrow will be created by you. This is one thing that you have to remember. And nursing as such is very inherent to femininity because it is the ultimate reflection of a very unique and solid attribute of women, that is motherhood. That I learned from the person who mentored me, the way she treated everybody, the kind of concern she had for humanity. Every single day that I look at her, with all the limitations of education, of background, about social, cultural belief system, everything, she has raised healthcare in Kerala to a different level. A lot of things have come out of Amrita today, and fortunately I have been able to be a part of a revolution in healthcare just by the virtue of being there. Just simply motherhood doesn't mean that, it's very hard to understand this. You don't have to be a mother to be able to awaken this. You don't have to marry. You don't have to have children. You don't have to be even a female. You have to be a human being who have a concern. And what does that concern mean? I would like to look at it from 3 different perspectives. The first one, logically, motherhood means unconditional acceptance. Unconditional acceptance meaning accepting people as they are. Doesn't mean keeping quiet, listening and saying okay to everything. No. It means holding when you need to, reacting when you need to, responding when you need to, letting go when you need to. Being flexible when you need to, because you understand the situation as a situation, not color it with your beliefs, with your logic. If you look at motherhood as a feeling, it's love. Love without any conditions, like any mother would have for their children. Love doesn't mean that we feel the children are good for nothing. We believe that every single child is as capable as we are or better than us. And we strive to make them better than us. And whatever they might be, you still cannot stop loving them. That's what is this unconditional love all about. And the third part is compassion. What does compassion mean? It's very different from sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is feeling for somebody. Empathy is feeling with somebody. Compassion is when you are understanding that every single person is capable as you are, and can do what they are supposed to do, given the right kind of circumstances, tools and education. For that real compassion to happen, for this motherhood to happen inside all of us, the basic essence is that we need to understand our body, mind and intellect are our tools. I am different from my feelings, my logic and my physical appearance. These are all attributes of mine. If I am able to see myself different from my logic, if I am able to see my logic as my thought processes, my feelings as my feelings, rather than me being the feeling, me being the logic, that moment ego just disappears. And you are able to see differences. You can agree to disagree. You can agree to feel different. You can stand up together and work as a team for the betterment of humanity. And that essence of motherhood, that essence of feeling, which is very inherently feminine and limited to probably 1 or 2 children at home, when it becomes expansive, we call it universal motherhood. And nursing by itself, if you work for few years committedly, this will naturally happen, like how a flower blossoms without us being realizing. That's why if you ask many people who are there in the front row, have been there for 25 years, 20 years, if any of you want to leave the profession and go now? Any of you want to go back to bedside nursing? All of you, yes, I would say. All of you would say, yes, administration is a headache. We would love to look after a patient. Feel the satisfaction of being for them. I read a beautiful definition of nurse-patient relationship because I have been really trying to find out the meaning of this profession. And because if I didn't understand the meaning of the profession, I will not be able to love the profession. And if I'm not able to love my profession, I will not be able to respect my profession. If I'm not able to love and respect my profession, I will not be able to make others love and respect my profession. That's my philosophy. So basically what I wanted to say is, you can make a difference. And irrespective of who you are, I began as a beginner, like many of you sitting here. I didn't know anything about hospital management. I didn't know anything about nursing. What I knew was a government institution. And from there I started my journey. If today she is giving me a long list of accomplishments, I never worked for any of them. I learned one lesson from Mama, that is always having a concern for somebody and trying to change, do whatever I could to push the thing a little bit further, one bit at a time. And what you're seeing today is a result of many, many, many small drops of water which I have gathered over so many years of my life. And this just inquiry into what nursing meant and why I should be here had led me to a place today where I would say being a nurse was the best decision of my life. And staying here is the best decision of my life because as a nurse, I can touch hundreds and thousands of lives positively. And being a nurse, I have been touched by many, many, many patients that I have looked after. And for all the senior nurses, don't think administration is bad. It's a lot of stressful. But if you look after one patient, you're only touching one life. If you mentor 100 people, you are touching thousands of lives. And that legacy of being for somebody. So we come back to the same thing that I want to talk about, the nurse-patient relationship. What exactly does it mean? So there's a research which was done by us with somebody from the Netherlands, I believe. I don't exactly remember the country. But it was on patients' responses about nurse-patient relationship. She did a study on about 20 years. And one of the most beautiful definitions given by a patient was, I feel we are in a good relationship when I feel the nurse and me are together in a journey. And that somebody is working with me in the hospital, not working on me. So I'll come back to the same point. Compassion doesn't mean feeling for somebody and trying to do everything that you feel is right for them. Compassion means to understand what they need at that point of time and being able to deliver it. And this is not very easy. You have to have that connectedness with people. And that connected comes from here. Not from just your emotions. It's deeper. It's much, much deeper. And to have that connection in a fraction of a second, in 5 minutes and 10 minutes of your encounter, being able to pick up what they want and delivering it in the way they need and they feel. Again, there's a bigger challenge for nursing. One, you are intellectually challenged all the time by your physicians and your fellow colleagues. The physicians forget that they spend 15 or 20 years studying a particular specialty to become a senior consultant. The nurse probably has spent a few hours studying that particular subject, and never after entering into the institution she touches a textbook unless and until there is a CNE department, there is somebody like Shubha standing with a stick and say, unless you complete this, you will not enter. Otherwise, none of the nurses would ever touch a book in their hands. Any disagreement here? But you expect yourself to think at the level of a physician. The physician expects you, if you are in a private room where there are 8 or 6 or 7 patients with different departments. Each one of the specialists expect you to behave like a specialist in that particular field. He's only specialist in one. You have to be specialist in at least 5 or 10 departments. How is it possible? Unless you spend a lot of time in learning, right? So there's a big intellectual challenge there. There is an emotional challenge when you're really looking at logistics and tasks and tests to be performed, diagnosis to be done, surgery to be finished, this medication to be completed on time. You are challenged by your patients emotionally because they feel in all this hustle, you have to look at their face and understand whether they are sad, upset, angry. When they are angry, actually they are not angry, they are feeling helpless. They need explanation, they need somebody to stand by them. There is an umpteen number of emotional needs which have been thrown at you. And as a nurse, there is a big challenge to balance between the logic and the feelings. And to stay grounded, it's very, very, very hard. And yet, hundreds and thousands of nurses from India, especially the state from where I come, are getting themselves into nursing working as nurses. Not only in India, globally acknowledged by everybody. And still, the biggest problem we feel is that we are not recognized. That's the irony. If you were not recognized, why would you be taken to any other country? Why would you be the first people to be chosen to work in any other part of the globe? Because we feel the recognition has to be given by somebody to you in the form you think it has to be given. When somebody smiles at you, the time you feel they need to smile at you, then it is recognition. Every other time somebody smiles, it's a part of they have to do it. Why not now? We expect everybody else to be God, and we will be ourselves. Only God can be doing everything that you need in the right time. You need the right time. Even God cannot do that. You know why? Because God has to see what is good for you. A lot of times what we think is right is not right for us. So it's impossible for somebody to behave the way we want them to. So we need to think. All the empowerment we think about, all the recognition we think about, all the love and respect we think about as nurses has to begin with us. With each one of you. When you understand why you do this profession, when you understand that, you start loving it. When you start loving it, you will see hundreds of opportunities where you can make improvements. And the moment you start working on it, everybody else around you will align with you. I challenge you. This is my experience. The entire providence will stand with you for what you want. If the intentions are right and the willingness is there. So you don't have to think about who you are. I remember I'm really fond of stories, okay, and I try to, every time I do a presentation, I'll pick up a video and go. This is a different event, I didn't want to bring that. But I always go back and see this one video which talks about a mentally retarded boy. So there's this mall somewhere in the US, and as a part of customer service and improving business and all that, they have this motivational programs. They call one lady from somewhere and they had a talk. After some time, they were expecting an increase in business, okay. In few days, and this lady taught only one thing. She said, leave a personal signature of your job. Whatever you do, you please leave a personal signature there. And then in few days, this man, the manager of the store, goes around and finds one particular queue is very, very big. So why is this? So he tries to find out. And what he understands is that there is one boy who is a bagger. In the supermarket, you do a billing and somebody picks the things and put in the bag. We do it ourselves here. But there is someone there who can put it in the bag. And he's mentally retarded, so he only has that job. He's a bagger. He's just putting the stuff. Only one line. So this manager tried to ask for 3 more lines and said, everybody go disperse. We don't want a long waiting list. They said, no, we want to be in this queue. Why? Because this particular boy, he didn't know anything else to do to give that personal signature. What he did is he went and he did make a few codes. Code for the day. He would put it in each bag and say, "Thank you, please come again." That's all he did. That's all he knew. And if he couldn't make a code, he would ask his father. His father would write it and give him a bunch of codes. And people used to come to get that. And that's the reason why the queue was long. And then slowly everybody else started. When there is a broken flower, when there is something which is not useful, they started giving it to the poor. And then the whole place became a place of celebration. Business enhanced. All because somebody did not do a big thing. A person did something small with a beautiful heart. And change comes with a heart which is concerned, which is interested in making somebody else happy. And that inherently is there in the profession. Whether you like it or not, at least 10 people you look after, at least 2 people will be happy about you. You agree with me? Are you sleeping? Okay. Thank you. So I just wanted to say that, see, if I were asked to stand here and talk 2 days about the whole thing, I would still continue. If I talk, I can't stop. That's a problem. So few things I really want to reiterate. One, being a nurse does not limit you from changing healthcare. Okay, I will be talking very big, but it's not big. You start small, it definitely makes a difference. Second, being a nurse and being happy is your choice. Okay. And if you feel intellectually challenged by a physician, stand up and ask yourself, how many hours did I really spend learning this subject in my life? And if I don't know something, go back and learn. If you feel emotionally challenged by a patient, step back and see where you're missing to see that sentiments or feelings. Where are you getting lost? You can never be perfect because balancing the head and the heart is a lifelong process. And human beings are all unique. They are not the same. It's not manufactured in batches and given to you with the same kind of content. No, at all. And more challenging is you have to communicate hope, love, care and all that to your patients with limited medical jargons and a lot of nursing procedures. If you knew music and dance, it would be easier. Because you could talk a lot through music and dance and all the art forms, but you don't have. You just have the art of nursing, the science of nursing to deliver the real art of giving the message that I am there for you. I will be there for you in all the small things that you do. From putting an IV line to putting in oxygen to making them in a comfortable position to talking to them, for every small thing that you do, this is what you're supposed to do. And love, hope and care doesn't have the same meaning for everybody. So even more difficult. If I say table, there are few shapes, right? Round, flat, height may be different. You still have some concept. Table doesn't mean chair. But love, how do you explain it? Hope, how do you explain it? Care, how do you explain it? You can't. Each one feels it in their own way. And whatever you feel caring for somebody will be totally different for other. Especially when you have multiple people coming from different cultures, you had it. Addressing them itself is a problem. Right? If you say sir to somebody, they don't like. So there's like a whole set of things that you have to learn. Nursing begins not when you're in the college. The science of nursing, a bit of it, the inquiry into the scientific part of nursing begins in the college. Trying to learn the art of connecting with people begins in the college, but it never ends. It's a lifelong journey. How much ever degrees you might have, you still will be very incompetent in front of a patient who will emotionally challenge you in the wrong time for the wrong emotion, and you don't know what to do with it. And you will be incompetent in front of a physician who will ask you some question which you have no clue about and never heard in your life, but have to answer. And you will feel incompetent in front of many people. Because a human being cannot acquire all the knowledge in life. And they cannot be as emotionally competent as anybody. the right kind of emotion, the right time, at the right place. No, that's not possible. So it will be challenging. It will be always challenging. But if you don't have hurdles in life, it's like having a tank of water, stagnant. But when there is plenty of hurdles and it's allowed to flow, it's like a beautiful river. You make your own courses. Am I getting too boring? Yes, somebody said yes. Thanks for being truthful, okay. It seems to you that it's philosophy. But anyone who feels it is a philosophy, you're welcome to come back here. 2 hours of your cultural program, I'm going to be here. We'll have an interesting debate. I'm most happily will agree to talk to you. Because disagreements makes you learn more than agreements. And I don't want to take more of your time. It's not philosophy, dear ones. It's life. It's a life I have lived. The lessons I have learned from no Google, but my own experiences. The Google will give you a lot of science, but it doesn't give you the experiences of anybody sitting here. And all of you have got, every day if you want to write a story about yourself, each one of you have more than at least 8 stories. If you're looking after 6 to 8 patients, you will have at least 8 stories to write. And if all of you were to write your stories, you will have at least 100 films on nursing in India. There's no good film on in nursing in India. Why? Because our stories are not being told. Who's at fault? We are at fault because we don't know how to market ourselves. You have to learn. You have to learn everything. You cannot limit yourself from just being at the bedside. You have to explore all possibilities and advent into every field possible to make yourself heard and visible. So one day you will stand like me in front of many of the people who are sitting here, and you will talk like me too. It's not impossible. It's only the willingness and the competence. Thank you for having me here, and I hope I have given some justice to all of you for the time that I've traveled and come here from all the way from Kerala and spending 2 days with all of you.
Your presence and wise words will definitely help us magnify a cause in the best possible way. Thank you, ma'am, for honoring us with your presence and gracing the event. Now I request Dr. P. Shubhasuriya to present a memento to Ms.Sai Bala as a token of love and appreciation. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our guest of honor, Dr. Judith Norona, Dean, Manipal College of Nursing, Mahe, Manipal, to address the August gathering.